How to choose a best title for your memoir. Writers often ask me how to choose a title for their memoir, one that is really good, the best one possible. Because I have worked with them, usually as their coach or editor, and I know their story, I am in a position to brainstorm with them to come up with a decent and sometimes even a great title for their book. But before I go too deep into choosing a really good memoir title, I want to introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, I am Denis Ledoux. I'm a writer, a teacher, and founder of the Memoir Network. I'm so pleased you have joined me today in this masterclass. This masterclass is brought to you by the Memoir Network's coaching services. A writing coach offers you just-in-time solutions, be it encouraging you to persevere, providing you technical guidance, teaching specific writing skills, prompting you to action, and counseling you through writing blocks, or perhaps planning a writing schedule. Set up a complimentary Get Acquainted session by going to the address listed in the description of this video. Oh, and yes, before I forget, I'll also have a bonus for you at the end of this video. Now, let's get back to choosing a really good title for your memoir. There are many title possibilities available to a writer, but one thing is certain. A writer must choose a title for a memoir in a strategic manner. A title is a marketing opportunity. The title printed on your book cover can and ought to provide sales for your memoir. It needs to be a sort of billboard for your book that announces it well, positively to the world. Okay, so what are some of the guidelines I use to generate a memoir title for my own book titles and for those of a client? Well, I'll give them to you, and I hope that they prove helpful to you. Before we start, however, let me answer how important a working title can be. People ask me all the time if they really need one. Well, when you're working on a memoir in progress, you may want to have some way of referring to this manuscript. You may be actually working concurrently on a second or a third book, and well, that's not actually unusual for many writers. I do it all the time. I'm doing it right now. In this instance of multiple projects, you will want a title so as to distinguish one manuscript from another as you speak about it to your writing group, your writing coach, or to a friend. It happens, perhaps too infrequently, that you come up with a title that feels right on from the beginning. Well, but more usually, you will give your manuscript a working title like I did to my mother's memoir, which I call My Mother's Story. This was a working title of mine, and you will file, once you have a working title, you will file that document with a working title in a folder labeled something like Work in Progress. Your working title is usually not a best title for your memoir. You will replace it as soon as you come up with another better title, and you will not believe your working title is the real title you need. There'll be no confusion. But it's handy to have a working title early on in your project to make things clear. Now, what makes a good book cover title a final title? When a title is good, it refers to something the writer will resonate with without any knowledge of the writer or of the memoir's content itself. A good title brings the reader to the book. It snookers the reader to pick the book up and possibly, hopefully, to buy it. Think of your title as a billboard that will bring your book to the attention of a reader. There are two parts to most book titles. There's a main title and there's a subtitle. The main title can be a touch fanciful, and it will often be a bit poetic. It may contain metaphors, similes, and images. The subtitle, on the other hand, must present the book contents in a prosaic manner. It is a rational sort of title. After reading the subtitle, the reader will understand the main title better. A good memoir title makes use of both the main title and the subtitle. Let's look at how to go about doing this. Okay, where do you look to choose a best title for a memoir or a best subtitle? Well, one way is to select a repeated thought or phrase from the book. The title from my mother's memoir, which was titled We Were Not Spoiled, stems from my mother saying many times of her childhood with 11 siblings in the house, "I can tell you, we were not spoiled." Another thing you can do is choose a characteristic of the subject of the memoir. The book Business Boy to Businessman is a story of a man who always wanted to be a businessman ever since he was a boy in grade school. If there was anything true about this man, it was that he wanted to be in business all of his life. But is this a how to create a business book? No, we don't want to give that impression to the reader. Its subtitle tells you exactly what it is, a memoir. You can also make a reference to a poem or song the reader is likely to be aware of, either in the positive or in the negative, and that encapsulates the book's theme. For instance, if you had a title like No Sounds of Silence in the Family, this would work because there are few people who do not know the reference to the Simon and Garfunkel song. A reference to something esoteric, unknown, however, does not generally entice the reader unless the wording itself is commanding, separate from the reference. Because the main title, No Sounds of Silence in the Family, is followed by a subtitle, Dysfunction and Chaos, the reader knows this is not a story about people who are simply loud. What makes a book title work is something special. While the main title of a memoir can be more poetic and more vague and will draw a reader in by its intrigue, I do not believe it is enough to sell a book to its reader. For that, you need the support of a subtitle. Here are some titles from my own collection of clients at the Memoir Network. Business Boy to Businessman. This is one memoir title that I've already mentioned, and perhaps it does not need a subtitle, but it did get one, a memoir. That made it clear, as I have said before, that this was not a how-to book. In Their Own Words is a collection of stories, and it did need a subtitle, which is Memoirs of the Members of St. George Greek Orthodox Church in Keene, New Hampshire. The title, In Their Own Words, alluded to memoirs. Certainly, nobody would confuse this with something else, but it did not give away what the book was about. This is, after all, a church history, and to know that, we needed to have the subtitle. Another book, Coal Fields to Oil Fields and Beyond, was made clear by its subtitle, A Life in Pursuit of All I Could Be. The word beyond in the main title and the subtitle, A Life in Pursuit of All I Could Be, certainly tells the reader that this is a hero's journey of success. We Were Not Spoiled shows 4 children on the cover, but it doesn't really tell us by its title what this book is about. The subtitle draws in its intended audience, a Franco memoir. Now, the subtitle is prosaic, but if you are looking for a Franco-American memoir, this fits the bill. The title, We Were Not Spoiled, will not cue you that this is the book that you are looking for. But a Franco-American memoir certainly will. I'd like to give you a few more thoughts about choosing the title and the subtitle. What is your ideal reader struggling with? Where is the pain that he or she is feeling? Place a word or two that describes that pain into the title, or more probably into the subtitle. For instance, If your title is A Story of Losing a Spouse, widows and widowers will likely be immediately attracted to this memoir by its subtitle. What outcome will the reader achieve when he or she reads this book? Here's another a subtitle. How I Dealt with a Crippling Disease and How You Can Too tells us a lot. Anyone with a crippling disease who is endeavoring to live with it or heal from it will be drawn in by this subtitle. How can you involve the reader's curiosity? Here's an example. Some of the worst things you can do for your health. Now, most people are interested in improving their health. This book will cue them to practices to avoid illness. It is very clear what it is about. What affiliation can you solicit from the reader? As mentioned before, for my mother's memoir, We Were Not Spoiled, I chose the subtitle, A Franco Memoir. Any person in our ethnic group would intuit immediately that the memoir is clearly of interest. As you choose a title for a memoir, think marketing opportunity. When you choose a title for a memoir, you are engaging in a marketing opportunity. Certainly for the reader, it is often the initial contact with you. With our readers, remember, your memoir is dead on arrival. No one will read it. Maximizing your title is often your first marketing opportunity. Many writers do not take advantage of this marketing opportunity. Writers want to believe that a book will sell itself, but it rarely does. Marketing is what sells a book. I actually saw a title that was called Memories of Me. I was astonished that a writer would throw away the marketing opportunity that a title represents. Since all memoirs are about me, if you choose a title for a memoir that is so bland, what does this title add to the reader's sense of what to expect? Many books are competing for the reader's attention, and your title needs to be a player in the competition, a positive player. Now, take Memories of a Slave Girl. Now, that is certainly more captivating than Memories of Me. Can you see now why the author of Felice's Worlds changed the title of his mother's memoir to Art of a Jewish Woman, the true story of how a penniless Holocaust escapee became an influential modern art connoisseur? I cannot repeat too often, a writer must choose a title for a memoir strategically. Do you have a favorite title? If you do, please share them below in the comment section. I'd love to read about them. If you would like to explore receiving help with your title or any other aspect of memoir writing, know that we offer a 30-minute complimentary get-to-know-you coaching consultation. Oh, and before I go, here's the bonus I promised you. A link to our video, 7 Basic Elements of a Memoir. This video will help you to be more focused in your writing. Good luck writing your book's title. Whatever you do today, write a bit on your memoir. And remember, inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard.